Firstly, how is Bendigo going in terms of cases? Over the weekend, health authorities were certainly worried about increasing numbers in the regions. Has there been any stabilisation?
Yeah, look, there has, Danica. As of yesterday, we had 47 active cases, an increase of 4, but we also had 6 recover and come off the list. So it has now dropped to 47.
Now, you have been advocating for suburbs to be included in COVID-19 data for regional areas. Why is that?
Look, on the data of the COVID Live report, you do get postcode data, but in our regional centres, a lot of our postcodes are large numbers of suburbs under them. So, for instance, in Greater Bendigo, 3551 has 36 suburbs and locations that belong to that postcode, and 3550, which is the main Bendigo postcode, has 14. So when you go through the list and you can see the suburb data that's on those reports, in metropolitan areas, it's often a suburb is linked to a postcode. So it's just a bit more difficult. We've got our local tracing teams now here in Bendigo, Ballarat and Geelong, and those regional solutions I think are really important for local outcomes, and having that public health ability to trace that data, particularly when there's outbreaks, we think that would also add to it. But ultimately, we're saying to our community, anyone that you are in contact with could have the virus. So the best defence is obviously wearing your mask, social distancing, and your hand hygiene. So that will put you in the best defence out of anything.
We often hear how Melbourne is going with the current restrictions, but how is Bendigo and the rest of these local communities faring?
Look, our communities are pretty resilient, Danica, I'd say. We were expecting when we went back into stage 3, it wasn't a surprise as much as the first time was. I think that people know what needs to be done, and by and large, the majority of our community are doing that. And that's all we keep asking people to do. We're going to have this virus for a long time, and we're going to have to get really good at being able to give those public alerts to people when there is an outbreak and so on. So that data is really important. However, it's most important that people's privacy is protected in all of this as well. But ensuring that we might be able to say a shopping precinct where there might be an alert or so on would be really helpful in a regional community.
I want to ask you about the hotel quarantine inquiry that's currently underway. Yesterday, it confirmed that return travellers account for more than 99% of the state's current COVID-19 cases. How does that make you feel when you hear that?
Look, it's, there's an inquiry going on there, Danica, and at the end of the day, other people are dealing with that. We're just dealing with the day-to-day of keeping our community as safe as we can, and, making sure that our community have all the right messaging associated and the information that they require to make sure that they can keep themselves as safe as possible.
In terms of the current border situation, the Prime Minister today has written to premiers urging them to consider a travel bubble. We know that it has been the case for Victoria and New South Wales. A number of people losing their jobs, they can't quite cross the border. Maybe not the case necessarily for Bendigo, but certainly these towns are really suffering.
Yeah, look, it is very difficult. We've got a number of border towns between Victoria and New South Wales. We've always had that very close association. And when you think about Wodonga and Albury, they come together and act as one in many ways with the various services they provide. And so that has been really difficult. And I know the Mayor of Wodonga has been speaking on your program on other media outlets regarding those concerns that they've had and how they're trying to work through that. I think we're going to have to start to be more clever, I suppose is the right word, around how bubbles might happen and so on, because, as I said, we're going to have this virus for some time to come, and we need to be able to work out what our new norm's going to be, Danica.